Okay, Sunday 21st of January. Pretty cold. We've had a really cold week. I recorded a number of videos yesterday and my microphone didn't pick up any of the sound, so wasn't in the best of moods. We'll see how today goes. It's saying it's on, but I'm going to check after each video just to be sure, and if it carries on playing up, it will get drop kicked over the fence into next door. Right, what I wanted to do was, as it's winter, just capture some videos of a few of my trees. I've got 100 now in the garden, and so it'd be good excuse me, potentially good to look back on these in the future and see the growth. So I'm going to start with this little beauty. So this is a Corkscrew Hazel. Its Latin name is Corylus avellana contorta. £24.99 from Dobby's. I bought this when I'd purchased this. This was the most expensive tree I'd ever spent money on, and I was walking around the garden centre without anything specific in mind, and this caught my eye, and I will tell you why in a second. But just before I do that, this is the main trunk, and this was pointing upwards. Initially, when I bought this tree, or when I saw this tree even, the first thing I thought was, I want to chop it there. I want a fantastic haunted looking cascade, semi-cascade style tree it will make. And I think that's probably still the option I'll go for. And I'll zoom in on that in a second. But after a couple of weeks, I bent it just down in position, and this feels actually like it's set, but I'm going to leave this on for the spring. But after a couple of weeks, I thought, well, what I'll do is I'll pull this down anyway, because time might change what I want to do with the tree. However, even now I look at it, and I still think that's the option that I'll go for. If I spin this round, that definitely the rear of the tree. It doesn't look as attractive, certainly not to me. And that would be the front. Now, if I zoom in on what I believe will eventually be the finished tree, that gives you a look there. So we'll have the trunk, nice interest in the trunk, branching off to the left. All of this will be gone, and then hopefully when spring arrives in a couple of months, we'll get some more branches appear here. Now, I'm not sure whether to chop the top off at the beginning of spring, because that may well use up a lot of the energy that could be going down to this left hand side, but that will be, that's certainly the look that I'm going for. So I'm going to keep the camera here, because the next three trees I want to look at are much smaller. Get that one out of the way. So, onto this ridiculous little thing, and I'll tell you why this means something in a second. I've had to drop the black background down because the wind is just too much at the moment, but I'll be able to have that. So this is some sort of berry, and the reason I like it is because I took this as a cutting on my way to the gym along the canal near where I live. Popped it in a little pot, not expecting much, not in this pot, popped it in a pot, just a little plastic pot, and it began to root. And then if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see just how well it's rooting. And there's plenty more under the soil. Again, if I were to look here, we've got it's not really grown above the soil, which is fine while it's got the roots establishing, but we've got plenty of buds. It's not going to zoom in properly. Plenty of buds starting to appear. So I'm interested to see how this develops. So this is not going to be a pretty tree in any sense of the imagination, but it's the first cutting I ever took, and yeah, just means something to me as part of my journey in this hobby. And then the last two I want to get on this video are these little beauties. Let's check that zoomed in okay. So if you aren't sure what these are Sekka Hinoki. I wouldn't say they're rare, but they're certainly not common within the UK. I visited a bonsai nursery in Tamworth three months or so ago, and there were some fantastic trees in there, sort of specimens worth thousands of pounds. I will be definitely going back. And as I was going around, this one on the left caught my eye. I love the twin trunk and just I guess the proportions of it. However, it was outside my budget. I wanted to get, what did I leave there with? I left there with a ginkgo, another tree I can't remember, and this Sekka Hinoki. This was, I think, 45 or 50 pounds. And quite a nice tree, and certainly got a little bit of potential. I'm going to spin them around for you. So yeah, I think in time this has got a lot of potential to mature, but the one on the left in the plastic, I've just popped it in this bonsai pot with extra soil just to help it retain moisture. This was the one that I really liked, and actually this was bought for me as a gift for Christmas. Probably one of the best Christmas presents I've ever received in my life, and that makes me nervous because now there's an emotional attachment to this tree. That one, cost £50, but I'm happy just touching it. This one, I'm nervous about touching it. So I'm going to have to make sure that I don't treat this any differently. The first thing I'll need to do once spring arrives is, you see the brown foliage? So these grow very densely. And what I'll need to do with a pair of tweezers is get in there and pick all of that brown foliage out. And that happens because the sunlight is just unable to reach deep within the tree. So that'll be one of my first tasks at the start of spring. Get rid of the brown foliage and probably thin this out a little bit. The other interesting thing with these is they're really easy to root from cuttings. So, for example, some of these branches here, I can't say at the moment if these will stay, but the ones that I do remove, they should root really easy. So there's potential to get a number of new trees growing out of these in the future, and that quite excites me. Right, I'm now going to check if the microphone has worked, and if it hasn't, It's getting stamped on.